This video is going to be going over how to cleave these Rinak plus triple bruiser slash tank defenses without actually outspeeding her. I also don't have Harsetti. I know Harsetti works in these, but that technically counts as outspeeding her, and I don't have her anyways. Instead, we have like Dominiel, Frida, Briar, Iseria, and BBK. So we'll go over everyone's stats, then I'll talk a bit about how the comp works and stuff to look out for, and then finally we can take a look at a bunch of hits that I'll do. So let's start off with Bwayoung, because she's kind of the unique one here. Bwayoung, the main thing is her S3 has attack buff and CR push. So even though your Frida, if she has no F-res, or if the Rinak has F for some strange reason, gets pushed back by Rinak S2, you'll be able to just push your BBK and Iseria up with Bwayoung S3 instead. Also, a nice little bonus is that Rinak S2 is going to proc Bwayoung S2, which means that we'll have skill nullifier on Frida, and you'll block the initial damage on the Rinak S3. You'll only take the 7k fixed damage proc, which means that your Frida is going to be able to actually survive and not just explode. The immunity also turns out to be pretty nice, because sometimes you're fighting Abyssal Euphine. Depending on the comp, you can actually just completely ignore her S2 and just push past it anyways. And this immunity protects you from the Elbrus counters. And then for her artifact, if you are following my Cleave videos, you might be using a different artifact on your Frida that isn't Bird's Eye View. If you are using Bird's Eye View on your Frida though, then you can just use any sort of attack boosting artifact, really, Super Duper Water Shooter or Card of Small Miracles, whatever. Doesn't really matter that much. You only need one artifact to generate souls. I have my Frida on a different artifact, so we'll be using Bird's Eye View on Moon Bunny Dominiel. Also, for now at least, if you don't have a plus 30 spotted mouse hair tie, it's still fine. You only need 10 souls to soul burn BBK S2 or S3 for now. So you can just use this if you don't have a Bird's Eye View. And for her stats, it's really just give her some speed. This is kind of just random gear. She doesn't necessarily need to be this fast. You could make her a little bit slower. Just make sure you don't get like outsped by the follow-up units. Though with immunity buff, there's not really any follow-up units that can really threaten you for most of these. Maybe like a really fast Bellion, though immunity buff would at least block the Provoke and BBK plus Briar, which are immortal anyway, so they can't really die. Also, the attack imprint is a nice little bonus, some bit more damage for our BBK and Iseria. Next up is Frida. So Frida, I have her on Proof of Friendship to cleave into Harsetti's, which is why we had Bwayoung on Bird's Eye View instead. For her stats, it's kind of just give her a bit of speed with some bulk. You need enough bulk to not die to just the Rinak S2 plus the 7k fixed damage proc on S3, which should be pretty trivial, but worth mentioning. I gave her a little bit of F-res to try and resist Rinak S2 for a bit more consistency into some of these defenses, but this probably isn't that relevant. You can just run whatever Frida you normally use. Her speed also probably doesn't necessarily need to be this fast, but there are some situations where I kind of want her to be pretty fast, so I just gave her some leftover speed gear. The nice thing is that she does have this. She has her attack buff plus CR push on her S3, though that is why we had Bwayoung there, because Frida might get pushed back, and then Bwayoung pushes everybody up. And also, this here, you get 20% CR push when an ally uses a soul burn, so when you soul burn your front unit, you're going to get pushed up. So that is also very, very nice. Now, we can take a look at Briar Iseria. So for Briar Iseria, I just have her on speed DPS gear. I have her a little bit fast. You might not need to be this fast, though there's a reason you actually want her to be pretty fast, which I'll go over in a bit. For her artifact, I'm using Renewed Will. Even at 80%, the CR push is pretty nice sometimes. Ideally, it would be 100%, but I'm not bottling this, so I'll just live with the RNG. Besides this, you could also just run, honestly, any sort of damage boosting artifact would be fine. Now we can take a look at BBK. So BBK, I have her at 193 speed, but this is deceptive because BBK is going to take 7,000 damage after Rinak uses S3. And that means her S2 is going to activate. She'll get extra speed and extra attack. So because of this extra speed and the time it takes after Rinak moves until your Bwayoung moves, BBK is going to be a lot faster than she looks to be. She's not going to be 193 speed for a good amount of time. So that is why you need your Iseria to be higher speed than you normally would in a traditional cleave. And also because our Proof of Friendship is on Frida, if you had, like, Proof of Friendship on Beatom, for example, then your Beatom would push Iseria up, but Proof of Friendship is on Frida for cleaving into Harsetti, so we can't fix that. Instead, I just made BBK a bit slower, and I made Iseria a little bit faster. So this S2 also gives us extra attack, which is really nice because some of these teams get pretty bulky, so this extra attack is nice for us to just deal more damage into them with our S3 Soulburn. For the gear, though, it's just Destruction, Torrent, and pretty much just full damage with a little bit of speed. You don't want her to be base speed, because there's some things you're trying to cut. For E, I'm using the Double Immortality, just gives us a bit more insurance into certain teams. For Artifact, I'm still using Shepherd, though you could swap this out for, like, Symbol or something, if you just want higher damage overall. So that's it for the stats. For this team, it's really just Rinak was going to go into Freedom no matter what, and I wanted a second CR pusher plus attack buffer, and it just so happens that Beatom actually lets us survive with Frida. So we're going to have a lot of CR push in this team, and that is important because when we fight into Emily, Emily gets 40% CR after we press Iseria S3. We have 20% from Beatom S3, and then let's assume Frida gets pushed back. So Beatom pushes 20%, then Iseria goes and she uses S3. Emily pushes up 40%, but Frida also pushes up 20% from her S2 when somebody soulburns her passive. Plus, if you have Renewed Will, you might get a 15% CR push onto Beatom or Frida. It procs separately per unit. That's one thing you have to look out for. But that doesn't matter too much. Let's say it procs on BBK and Frida doesn't get to go. You still have attack buff, so you're fine. And then you just kill them. Or if it procs on Frida and not BBK, then Frida's going to cut Emily as long as you proc Renewed Will. So then you can just S3 and then you'll push BBK up too. So this is a pretty nice cleave. I haven't seen any Emilys that are like an absurd 240 speed or something. So if that would happen and I missed the Renewed Will procs, then whatever, but until then it'll be fine. That also assumes that your Rinak or the Rinak pushes back your Frida. That's why I gave my Frida a bit of Efres, because if she resists it, then we'll just have a guaranteed CR push into everybody. And then also another thing to watch out for is just Bwayoung. You should be able to 4v1 her after you kill everybody, because with Rinak being in stealth and potential Aureus on the team, we're not going to be able to actually proc Bwayoung S2 after using Iseria S3. But that's just how it's going to be. So after BBK uses S3, we're going to proc Bwayoung S2. Bwayoung's going to hit some random person. We're going to have skill nullifier on everybody except for Frida. But that's going to heal her up, and you might not be able to kill her if it's a sufficiently tanky Bwayoung. And in that case, you're generally still going to be able to win. This defense here has both Emily and Bwayoung. So let's do the hit and let's see how it goes. Okay, so this one pushed us back. And you can see, we tanked the hit on our BBK. She's got extra damage now. We didn't even get close to dying on Frida. Maybe I should give her more Efres, just because you're not really under any sort of threat here. Now we can soulburn this, and we can check. This Emily's pretty slow. She's only going to get pushed up to 92%. And after we soulburn, Frida is going to be at 103. If Renewable procs, she'll be at 118. And then also, if Renewable procs on BBK, she'll be at 114. So this is why I say even though it's 80%, as long as it procs on one of them, even if it's a faster Emily, you're still going to cut her most of the time. Unless it's like an absurdly fast one. And here we might as well just S3 on Frida. And we can soulburn our BBK. And this one was squishy enough to just instantly die. We've got another one right here. This one has Ruele plus Bwayoung, so let's see how this one goes. And we can also keep an eye on BBK here. He's about this distance from Briar Witch. This time we resisted. It's a bit hard to tell because we resisted. Normally, or if Frida gets pushed back, then Bwayoung takes a bit longer to go, but it did get a little bit smaller because of the increased speed on our BBK. So, awkward friendship made Bwayoung get cut, but it doesn't really matter here. If you're fighting into Emily, it'd be the same thing, just the same thing with Renewed Will, where if it procs on either Bwayoung or BBK, you'd be able to cut. It's really nice they moved the barrier onto Bwayoung S3, because it means that BBK takes the full 7k. We can silver in this. We've got another one here. Let's take a look at a version that has Fallen Cecilia on it. I forgot my Bwayoung and Frida were in speed RNG range of each other. Doesn't really matter that much, because both of them just CR push anyways. This has a really fast Obsessi. This is like 250 speed. So we can just soul burn Iseria S3, and this Obsessi really just means the team's going to be a bit tankier because of her barrier plus Aureus. So because of Obsessi, Bwayoung does manage to live the BBK S3. We still have the bonus attack from S2, but he healed quite a lot from that. And you can either you could just keep on hitting her, or you can try to... You could have tried to stall with Frida S2, but since Speedon was going to go right after, I figured it didn't really matter. I'm gonna soul burn here. The main thing is we can kind of just loop around. If she countered there, it wouldn't have really mattered. You just loop around and soul burn, or we didn't kill. Oh, because we have no attack buff. Because we have so many immortalities, she's not really going to be able to kill us very fast. And we can just soul burn PBK S3 on the next turn. You also, because we have 2 more immortalities, you can honestly wait. You could just loop around until everybody is dead, then Bwayoung hits BBK, gets her to 1 HP while you're immortal, then soul burn S3, because even, like, if Frida's dead or something and you have no way to attack buff, the attack from S2 passive would be enough.
당신의 운이 어디까지일지 시험해보세요. 햇볕이 따가우니 기대하세요. 상상조차 어쩐지 혼란스러워. 넌 모두 내 눈앞에서 사라져. 다음 상대는 누구지? 발코, 영룡. 정신을 멈출 때 다스러진 이름 위에
So that's it for this video. The big question is, of course, with ML Aria coming out, is this going to work into ML Aria? And I would say, yeah, probably. Because the thing is, she doubles your soul burn cost, right? The only soul burn we actually use is BBK, because Briar Witch gets hers for free from Frida. So BBK S3 is going to cost 20 souls. Bird's Eye View bare minimum gives you 15. Frida S3 is 2. Bdom S3 is 2, and then Iseria S3 is 3. So you're going to get at least 5 souls going there. So you're going to hit 20 souls even with just a plus 15 bird's eye view. And then there's a bunch of other things like a plus 20 or a plus 30 spotted mouse hair tie would work because you'd get 20 souls off the bat, but that does make you a bit susceptible to stuff like Elvira artifact on Rinak, because then your souls would get stolen. You only have 10. 10 plus 7 isn't going to be enough. And then also stuff like Crown of Glory, I guess, plus ML Aria, that would be 25 soul removal. And then you would have only 22 if your bird's eye view is only plus 15. So you could just double up on soul gen artifacts if you want, but then if they also have Rinak or Elvira artifact on Rinak, could be annoying. Anyways, it should work fine to ML Aria. Maybe some very arena-only players with really cheese stuff on their defense could cheese you out, but for the most part, I'd say it's probably fine. Anyways, hopefully this video helped anybody who was looking for cleaves without actually needing to outspeed into these defenses.